I've been to tons of boxing matches. I've been to gyms when they're training, both amateur ones, local ones in Philadelphia. I've been to Vegas to the big ones. Yeah, it's so fun.
Tessa, how are you keeping? It's great to talk to you. Congrats on the movie.
Thanks so much. It's great to talk to you too.
Listen, I love these films. I mean, you must love them because you keep coming back and you're on the third one. So is it Michael that brings you back? Do you know what I mean? Is it just you're just such a fan of the writing of Rocky originally? What is it that keeps bringing you back to this franchise?
It's a number of things, but first and foremost, it's the character. I love playing Bianca, and I love getting to really be invited into being a co-author into her journey. So much of what we do in these films is really we improvise, we develop the script over a period of time. And in the case of this film, over a year, with Mike and I and me and the writer speaking very closely. So. Yeah, and I love getting to sort of evolve. That as I evolve and mature, so does Bianca, and I think that is always just a dream for me. And I think this time around to get to also support Mike in his directorial debut, I love him. He's become such a good friend of mine and a big part of my life, and so I think it's incredible to get to support him in that too.
And is that very different then on this movie that like you're doing a scene and then he's running, I assume? I don't know how exactly it works when you're directing and you're acting, but like is he running back to take a look at the take and then coming back into the scene, or how does that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
work?
Sometimes it works differently depending on what we're shooting and what it is. But yeah, there's but I think he did that so seamlessly in the sense that when he was in the scene acting with me, it really felt like he was there. And then yes, eventually he has to go behind and look at what we've shot and make sure that he has what he needs, and then we carry on. But it was a joy. He's a tremendous director, and I think he did such a beautiful job with this film. Not just because the film is really great, I think also because he made the experience of making the film really wonderful for everyone. And to me, I think that's the strength of a really, really talented director is they put a premium on also the process of making the thing and not just the product. And that is, just as important, I think.
Yeah, and your character Bianca in this, I mean, her daughter in the film is deaf, and you're hearing impaired. Your character Bianca. So, did you learn a lot of sign for this? Did you know sign language already? Because I was really impressed that obviously there was so much sign going on in this film.
Yeah, I started to learn it casually 8 years ago when we made the first Creed. I wish, if I'm honest, I wish that I had just stuck with it in earnest then,
Right.
and continued to learn. I didn't know at the time that we would continue to make these movies, obviously, but it's such a beautiful language, and Mike and I obviously were learning a lot because we sign in the film, but also our whole crew was learning ASL, and that was really incredible. I think for a lot of folks, I remember the early sessions of the crew learning, you're just afraid to do anything wrong. And I think sometimes when we're afraid to do something wrong, we don't do anything at all. And our world is a little biased towards the hearing world. And I think hopefully a film like this helps us unpack that bias and to also be more curious. And I hope a lot of people start, wanting to learn ASL from
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. These films, obviously, you have there's always the big boxing match at the end, and I love these films because I'm like, but I'm watching them a bit like this, and I was wondering, it kind of makes me go, what would I be like at a real boxing match? Have you been
Yeah.
to a real life one before? Like, are you
Yeah, I've
into?
been to tons. I've been to
Have
tons.
you?
Oh yeah, of course. I've been to so many. From the first one, yeah, I've been to tons of boxing matches. I've been to gyms when they're training, both amateur ones, local ones in Philadelphia. I've been to Vegas to the big ones. Yeah, it's so fun. And I mean, I've sat so close and gotten like, doused with the water and sweat, and yeah, it's an incredible sport. I mean, obviously there's the sort of violence to it, the brute violence to it, but there's also so much skill and technique and personality of the fighters that gets expressed, and it really is like a dance. So I'm so enamored with the sport itself, and I also love to watch, the choreography when the guys are training and what ends up happening when we shoot. But I love watching boxing.
Well, listen, I have to go to a match after that recommendation. Thanks so much for talking to me.
Thank
Congratulations on the film,
you. My
Tessa.
pleasure. Thanks for talking to me.
Thank you.